Hi Falcons, it's McKenna from Career Services again. We just want to say thank you to all of you for your support. This is our final Tune In Tuesday episode for this fall semester. Our guest today is no stranger to our video podcast. Wendy is back for a second time. Today, she is going to share job search strategies to help you be successful during COVID-19. Let's get started.
Thank you, McKenna. This is Wendy Benning-Swanson from Verum Technical. We are a scientific and engineering staffing firm located in the Twin Cities. And I have with me two of my recruiters, Tracy Stevens and Amy Lehman. And Amy is an alumni of River Falls. She graduated from there with a degree in communications. So we are going to talk to you today about job searching in the era of COVID-19. And we are a staffing firm. So what that means is we help companies find people with scientific and engineering backgrounds. But there's staffing companies out there that find people for every background out there. And sometimes the positions are contract, sometimes they're contract to hire, and sometimes they are direct hire. And so what it means to you is that you want to befriend recruiters from staffing firms, because you never know what kind of opportunity that they are going to have that may not be posted online. A lot of these companies hire us to find people for jobs that they don't post on Indeed or any of the other job sites. So we can be an additional resource to finding jobs during this time and any time. But we have been working with people who are searching during the time of COVID-19. And I'm going to go around, and we wanted to just share with you our thoughts on how things have changed in the last 7 months than they were before, what changes that you're going to experience as you go out and start looking for a job. So I'm going to start with Amy. Amy, share with us what you see that has changed and shifted since COVID-19 in terms of people looking for jobs.
I think the biggest thing that I've seen change is maybe not where you're going to apply to jobs. I think there's still plenty of things out there to apply to. I think the biggest things that's changed is how companies are hiring in terms of bringing people into the company. So, I think the biggest thing right now for someone who's just graduating that they should be doing and kind of moving forward is networking and being able to build a relationship with people through technology now is more important than ever.
Yes, it is. It truly is, because that's what everybody is using. A lot of people, a lot of companies. Right now, we are in October of 2020. So a lot of people and companies are still virtual. They're still working from home, as are we, as you can tell. So, using technology to network is huge. Yes. And when you say network, for some of these students, they don't even know what that means. Can you explain that further?
Yeah, so I guess for networking, from my standpoint, I would say using, it's more about who you know than what you know right now. So if you are not on LinkedIn, get on LinkedIn, build a profile on there, making sure that you, are comfortable reaching out to people you don't know. It's really interesting right now too, that this environment, I think people are so much more willing to help one another out than ever before. And I think that they're very open to wanting to give expertise in this time, especially knowing that it is something that is not only good for them, but good for the person they're helping too. So reaching out to people who have job titles you're interested in, being diligent in following up with those people when they do respond to you, and, asking them to a virtual coffee, saying, hey, can we connect through Zoom or Skype and have just a conversation on how I might be able to get into a career path you have already done. I'd be really interested in learning more. So being open to hearing those conversations, having those conversations, finding someone who's like a mentor to you who can help you network that way too is really helpful. And I think, career services from my time there, they were really helpful when we did that. So be able to go in and kind of help, make sure you can open those doors for yourself too.
Yeah, and I know for students that seems overwhelming, especially if you don't even know what LinkedIn is. But LinkedIn is, it's like a Facebook for professionals. And Amy, how much time do you spend searching candidates on LinkedIn?
More than I care to admit. Probably about 80% of my time is spent searching for candidates on LinkedIn, searching for networks, searching for, they have a lot of really cool things for different community groups that you can join. So joining groups, looking through those and finding people for positions. I mean, there is so many things you can do on LinkedIn, like Wendy said, very similar to Facebook, but in a more professional manner, where most of the things that you're going to find on there are focused on what companies are doing or what new things are happening in markets and so on and so forth. So, I'd say that that's a really good place to start networking and being able to build a network.
And we're going to talk about, where to search for jobs, but obviously LinkedIn is critical. And I think other people have already mentioned this in other Tune In Tuesdays. So we're just reiterating that it's great to first connect with recruiters. So you can reach out to these two on LinkedIn, but any recruiters love to be connected with. So anyone that has recruiter title, like, go for it, try to connect with them. But it's critical to have a great profile picture, have it fully filled out, and start connecting with people, because that's going to be your legacy as you start your career going forward. You want to start now. And I think I saw something that said like 2 people can sign up for LinkedIn every minute or something like that. So it's huge. It's huge and it's worldwide. All right, Tracy, what changes have you seen since the start of COVID-19 in terms of job searching?
Yeah, to kind of piggyback off of what Amy said, job searching is kind of still staying the same. The interview process is what's changing. So like she said, a lot of the interviews are virtual. A lot of people are not being brought on site. So you don't go to the company until they offer you the position. So the one thing I would make sure is remembering that you're also interviewing the company. So making sure that during the interview process, you understand like what their culture's like, what they're looking for, things like that. That's the major change that I've seen, is that you're not going on site, you can't really see what it's like, so you have to figure that out during the interview process.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a huge change. Mm-hmm. And you have to understand as you're searching for jobs that companies have had to make these changes very quickly. So they're not all, some of them have done it smoothly and effortlessly, and it's kind of great. Others are still chunky, and they don't exactly have the process in place because they've done it the same way for however many years. So some of our clients, we actually set up the meetings for them because they just don't have the technology there, so they use our technology. So, don't judge companies too much with that right now because they've been put in a position where they have to really adapt in a very fast amount of time. But yes, if we're seeing like there's 2 types of jobs. There's some jobs where you have to work there, so you're going in. And those jobs are usually essential companies. So, pharmaceutical, any manufacturing, anything where there's a laboratory where you have to actually do the work there, some engineering, and there's others. So the whole interview process is done virtually, and you might not actually meet anyone till your first day. Or the whole interview process is done virtually, and then they send you a computer and they do all their training virtually, and you're actually working from home. Some of those companies are trying to get the group together in settings that are safe so that you can actually meet people, but you're going to start your career out virtually.
Well, and piggyback off of what Wendy just said, sorry to interrupt you, Wendy, it's been interesting too. We've seen one of our clients has been doing like virtual bingo on certain days as a group, just to like build some relationships like you're not having while you're working from home. So there is that communication still between the groups of people. So it does show you a little bit of their culture, but maybe a little bit of a different way than what they're used to.
Yeah, and this moves directly into one of the questions that we received, which is working a remote position as my first full-time job after college sounds intimidating and undesirable. What can I do to make the most of a remote position? So first, there are companies out there that are working in person. So you can always search for those. There's just an article out with like a list of all of those companies that are actually meeting in person. So there are some potential chances if you want to work in person. But I will say what we're hearing is that this isn't probably going to go away. That when things get back to normal, that it's going to be either a hybrid where you go into the office some days and you're home some days, and or completely virtual, where you can have teammates in other parts of the country. So adapting is something you might need to do in general over time anyway. And yes, the first job out of college being remote sounds very undesirable because you want to meet people. You want to like feel like a team. You want to like be a group. And companies have really had to shift how they onboard, and they've had to, because right now, what they're finding is if you had a team before COVID, those people are working well together virtually. If you have someone that came in during COVID that's a new team member, it's hard for them to connect with the team member that have been together forever. So companies are really being conscious about making those connections. Like Amy said, doing games, doing virtual happy hours, doing events in person, like a potluck in a safe place where people can connect with their team members. So companies, and we're going to talk about this in a second, but this is a question you can ask during an interview. What are you doing to connect your new hires to the team? And how are you building culture virtually so that I know if I come in, I will be connected to the people I'm working with? Perfect question to be able to ask during an interview. So the things you can do to make the most of it are ask what they're doing, but also you have to take some of the responsibility to reach out and connect with people. I would say anyone on your team, I would set up a coffee with each person individually, and they'll probably give you a mentor. So use that person, ask them to introduce you to other people. If you don't understand the technology, ask. It's up to you. Once you get out there, you're the one that's going to have to do it. No one's going to be telling you what to do. Some companies may, but a lot of companies may not. So you have to take it upon yourself to make sure that you know what you need to be doing. You guys have any other thoughts on that?
I would say too, being connected to your HR team there, whoever helped you kind of do the onboarding process, know that they're always available for you to reach out to. Those are the type of people who do, that's part of their job, is to make sure your onboard is going smoothly and transitioning okay. And if you have questions that you don't know who to go to, that they would be the one to help you figure that out. That's what they're there for. That's what they want to do. They're willing to do it. So just know that they are always available to you too.
Yeah, and it's not like at a company where you can just walk up to someone. So you're going to have to do the work of navigating how to connect with people.
Absolutely. I love what you said, Wendy, about the virtual coffee. That's a really good idea. It's a great way to meet people. And then that way you can introduce yourself. They can introduce themselves, and then also follow up on LinkedIn. Send those requests, making sure that you can kind of see what they've done in the past. So then that way going forward, you can ask them about their work history and see what kind of advice they have for you as well.
Yeah, of course. Link in with your colleagues. You definitely want to do that. That's great. All right, so the next question we have here is, what industries are most likely to be hiring right now? So I guess I'll take that to start with. We know that the essential businesses during COVID all stayed open and have not shut down. So again, pharmaceutical, medical device, food companies. There's a whole list of essential companies. You can actually find it on the website at the state of Minnesota. I would say that hospitality and travel are not hiring as much. Airlines not hiring as much right now. I mean, that's more just, I think everyone kind of knows that. Did you guys have any other thoughts on that?
Well, I'd like to point out, since you guys are in Wisconsin, and so you might want to check with Wisconsin on what they deem essential for for their essential list. But I think mostly state by state is relatively pretty the same on what they've deemed essential and non-essential. So, and I would say, and that being said too, I think now that things have started opening up a little bit more, I've noticed that there are, some hotel types of jobs, some hospitality roles opening, but far and fewer between. I think right now there's just, it's a really big movement here on seeing things opening and kind of figuring out how they're going to open again. So
yeah, the market, like we have a lot of jobs open right now. The market is still strong for hiring. But yes, there's higher unemployment, but companies are hiring. They still have jobs that they need to fill. A lot of companies we've heard are kind of putting a hold until after the election and after the end of the year, and they're taking a look at their 2021 plan, and they're really, everything they were going to be hiring in 2020, they're going to put into 2021. So the market is going to really open up here next year. So keep that in mind too. If you're not seeing the job that you are looking for right now, you might need, there could be a timing issue. And also you might need to, open up into other industries, open up into other opportunities to get some experience, to get into those jobs that you want down the line. So don't close yourself off if it's not the perfect opportunity. I think it's pretty clear that, you're going to have many jobs in your life, and, you're going to learn through each one what you really want to be doing in your next one. So
thank you for saying that, Wendy. I was actually just going to bring that point up. So I do a lot of the entry-level roles, lab techs, chemists, things like that. And that's the most important thing to remember right now is a lot of companies change who they're looking for, what they're hiring, but just getting your foot in the door is going to be the most important thing. So you may not get your dream job. You might be doing lab tech and doing the dishes and getting the media prep ready, and then going forward, you'll be doing more of the testing and things like that.
Yeah, and that goes for any degree.
Yeah.
You have to kind of start at the bottom and work your way up. So you don't want to wait months and months to get out there. Try to find something that somewhat fits so you can start getting your resume built up. All right, the next question is, What are some COVID-related questions I can ask employers during interviews to learn about how their companies are handling the pandemic and the safety of their employees?
Well, I think the first one is just asking them point blank, like, what safety measures have you guys put into place for the pandemic? If that's something that's important to you, especially if you're going on site. And then I would just simply say too, like, what are you guys doing for your onboarding processes for when you hire someone new, so you get an understanding of what you're walking into, what kind of, transition they're going through and what they've done to kind of switch quickly into a new environment. And I think too, that also speaks volumes about a company and their ability to be agile and make a move to transition quickly, in a time where things are so unprecedented.
I would also ask, what is the plan if someone does get sick? So making sure that they're able to communicate quickly if someone does have symptoms, making sure you know what the steps are if you don't feel good as well.
Exactly. So every company had to create a plan. I'm guessing it's similar in Wisconsin. Everyone had to create a plan to reopen. So, and that plan includes, it's usually written out and it has all the procedures in place. If someone does get sick, who we contact, what we do, what the plan is moving forward. So it's safe to ask any of those questions. And are masks required in Wisconsin? I don't know. You can always ask, do people wear the masks during, work? And do they wear them at their desks or just when they're walking around? You can ask all of those questions. They're free to ask. You can also ask how many people have gotten sick, so you can see whether their procedures are working. We just, we've had, a lot of our clients have had people that have gotten COVID, but they've gotten it from somewhere else. And then, that person and anyone they were around stays home, and they don't usually it doesn't spread in the company. Mm-hmm. So none of our people have gotten sick from being at work. So just a reference point there. All right, what platform to use for entry-level positions, out-of-state or country searches? Amy, you want to just briefly talk about LinkedIn again and how people can use it to search for jobs?
Yeah, the nice thing about LinkedIn is there is a lot of jobs posted on there. You can search, you can apply right with your LinkedIn profile, or you can upload a resume. So either one, which is kind of nice on that regard. I would say there's a lot of opportunities for out of state. I don't know so much about out of country searches in terms of, if you're looking to go international. I think that's a little bit of a different can of worms that you'd have to open, but you can see opportunities in that regard too. I know that you can do, you can even type in remote if you're only looking to work remote and that's what you want. That is a function you can type in for searching. So a lot of good opportunities through there. You can narrow it down to what type of industry you want to work in, to is it entry level or not. So there's a lot of things you can do and utilize on LinkedIn for searches for jobs that are very helpful. But that being said too, that's just once again kind of going back to making that profile, and having that profile is really important, making sure that you're really filling everything out as full as you can and as accurate as you can. And this is a great time for you to use kind of the jargon you've learned in college right now for your field, for your industry, to put all of those words that you have. So if you're in science, using your scientific acronyms, to if you're in communications, using those acronyms, putting that all in there, so when you are applying, they are seeing those words, or when you're a recruiter like me searching, I see those words in searches to help you find an opportunity.
Yeah, and there's so many things with LinkedIn to keep in mind. Like, you can go there to search for jobs, but a lot more of it is people looking at you for jobs. So make sure you have a good profile picture, like professional. Make sure that it's filled out like she said. Make sure you're connecting with people. Having, a good number of connections looks positive, because if you apply for a job, it's possible that that company is looking at your LinkedIn profile, and they're going to make decisions about you based on that profile. So if it's well thought out, it's well filled out, you're making connections, they're going to make decisions about you based on that. Things like, well, she understands that she needs to, this is her personal brand, or hers or his personal brand is important and out there. They're, they understand that it needs to be professional, and it is. Who knows what goes on in their mind when they make decisions about that, but so you can look there, but also make sure it's good for people looking for you. And we lost Tracy. So, all right, we'll just keep going. I know Tracy was going to talk about Indeed and Handshake. And so Indeed is another platform that we use to search for candidates' resumes. So you want to be sure when you're ready to post your resume on Indeed. And Indeed protects you more than any other platform. They make sure that we can't get your information unless you allow us to. So if a recruiter sends you a note on LinkedIn, make sure that you say, yes, I'm interested in learning more about that, because we cannot reach out to you unless...
Indeed.
Did I say LinkedIn? Sorry.
Yeah.
Indeed. Thank you. Indeed, we cannot reach out to you unless you accept it. And so, our recruiters are on Indeed and LinkedIn all day. That's what they use to search. Make sure you have the keywords in those resumes, because we use those keywords to search. So if you're looking for a particular job, make sure those keywords are in your resume.
And then I would say for Handshake, from that aspect, I honestly think that Handshake is a great tool for all students to use. Obviously, it's not a huge utilized tool right now because it's kind of newer to the system and everyone's starting to use it. Pretty much across every college is using this as Handshake now. And it is a great place for companies or even recruiters like us to go to find entry-level candidates for great opportunities, and even alumni. I've gone in there and searched for higher level positions for people who left school years ago, just to find their resume to see if they're looking for new opportunities. So it is a really great chance for you to get seen and right in school with your resume getting worked on there as well.
Yeah. So put your resume into Handshake, because we can search that as well. And there are more companies using Handshake to find people. I think we've already said, other people have said that on this. So make sure you're using Handshake as well. All right, how much research should students be doing on the company through the process?
All of it. You should never stop researching the company. Each time, I think, if you're going to go in for an interview, you should be always, if you're not working with a recruiter, if you're going by yourself, however it is you're getting into this organization, you should be always looking at their website. You should look at any type of press releases they've done. You should be looking, especially, and depending on what type of, field you're going to, for an engineer, you're going to want to go and look at what are the product lines they have. If you're in marketing, you're going to want to go and look at what is their marketing scheme throughout this? What is their marketing tools they've been using? Where do they market to? You want to kind of come up with that and build out from your research a list of questions to ask the people that are interviewing you, so that not only do they recognize you're interested, but that you've come in prepared. It's like it's like going and taking a test in college. You're not going to come and take a math test without having done your math homework in advance or study for memorizing those math equations to do the test. It's the same thing as going in for an interview. You want to go in and you want to have questions prepared, and you want to know, that you're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you, making sure it's the right fit for you as well as it is for them.
Tracy, welcome back.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Technology can sometimes not be my friend. So you always have to be prepared for it.
And, side note, if that happens to you in an interview, just try to get back in, come in, apologize, and keep going, because obviously it happens. Don't get too upset.
It absolutely does.
It happens. And how you respond to it says a lot about you, So, but Tracy, did you have any other thoughts on how much research students should be doing on the company through the process?
I loved everything Amy said, like usual. The one thing I would make sure, like she said, you're interviewing them just as much. One of my favorite questions to ask kind of at the end is, what qualities does the most successful person have that's been in this role? So then once they tell you that, you can follow up by explaining that you do have those qualities, and that's something to kind of just keep in the back of your mind, and making sure that if you take the time, make sure you look at their mission statement, their values, making sure you know what the company stands for.
Yeah, we recently had a situation where a candidate did not look at what the company did. So this candidate went into an interview and the client said, well, do you know what we do? Did you look us up? And they said, yeah, I looked you up. And they said, do you know what we do? And they didn't know. And they pretty much stopped the interview right there because the position needs someone who's very detail oriented, and they need someone who they want someone that cares about what they're going to be getting into. So, taking a look at what the company does, what industry they're in, where are they located, how big are they? Like, those are really critical things to know going in to an interview. And if you don't know, then you can ask in the interview as well. But nowadays with the internet, you should, spend time researching the company before you go in. And again, the interview is virtual, right? So you can't just see it when you walk up. You're not going to see anything. So you're really blind. So researching the company is even more important for you and for them. But for you, you don't want to get a job and then walk up and be like, wait, what did I sign up for here? So I think that's it. I think, are there any other thoughts that you guys have to round up here at the end as far as job searching during COVID-19?
Be patient. Be patient. It's going to be, looking for a job any time in life is hard, but right now it is a different environment, and you're just going to have to really be patient and just kind of network, like we said, and do kind of some of the things that think outside of the box a little bit too. I think that will really be helpful. So, but the biggest thing I can say at this point is patience. It is a different environment that we're in right now than we've ever seen before, and so it is something that everyone is changing and working towards trying to figure out what to do next. So I think it is going to ultimately come down to just patience and being resilient, and just remember that every time that you're declined, it's just not the right opportunity. It's just on to the next, that there is something out there for you.
Casey?
Making sure you network, making sure you send us requests, any other recruiters that you see, making sure you reach out to like the career center, see if there's any job fairs, being open to new ideas, do an internship if you need to, things like that. Volunteer at companies if you're able to. A lot of them might not be letting you on site, but see if there's anything else that you can do.
Yeah, I think it's not a passive process. It's a very active process. You applying for jobs, you doing interviews, and it's not just that the company has all the power. Is they need you as much as you need them. So, discerning, making sure that you are doing the work of applying and getting out there and networking every day. And I like what Amy said, if you didn't get that job, that means the right job is still out there. There are jobs out there. People are getting hired. There are openings for entry-level people. It's not the same as it was a year ago, but there's still opportunities to be had. And the biggest thing that's changed is that you're going to be interviewing virtually, but otherwise, just be your best you and you'll make it happen. So that's it for us. Thank you. If you ever want to visit us, barhamtechnical.com. But again, connect with your staffing agencies. They do help people find jobs that aren't out there. We're working with companies on different opportunities, and we wish you the best of luck in your job search.